It's crazy how I feel like I need to make a video about this, but I've been seeing what's been going on the internet recently and people being flamed for having opinions and standards. And I need you to know that you're not insecure for having standards. You're probably just saying what everybody else in the room is too scared to say. Now, somewhere along the way, standards got confused with insecurity. For example, if I hold an opinion that's slightly controversial, let's say I don't want my girl in a bikini in front of thousands of strangers. Apparently now I'm controlling, I'm manipulative, I'm too strict, I'm the problem. But here's my question to some of you guys who may oppose what I've just said. Why is it a character flaw when I have boundaries? I don't understand that. Not everyone is going to like your opinions, and that's okay. They don't have to. But when your standards slightly inconvenience somebody else's because they're controversial, it somehow becomes a problem. Everyone decides to make a big issue out of it. And I've made a TikTok video on this recently, how if somebody puts up a point of opposition to something that you say, you immediately view them as evil, or rather not evil, but you think their worldview is flawed. Now, obviously, we're going to hold our opinions close to us. We're going to think that our way of thinking is right, and the way we see the world is the way that everybody should see the world. But I just think that that mentality, that viewpoint has been pushed to an extreme standard, especially on the internet. Because now if you come out and say that you strongly believe that maybe women should dress modestly, or you strongly believe that all men should have a six-pack, then suddenly there's something wrong with you. Suddenly it's highly controversial. Suddenly you're a flawed individual and you should change the way you think, and you get gaslit and tricked out of your position. However, if you play things safe, if you say that you want somebody who's loyal, ambitious, who's caring, you're not insecure for wanting any of those things. But the moment you get slightly controversial, you're standing in the way of the progression of society. And then you get hit with the labels. You get hit with things like, you're judgmental, you don't get to dictate the way other people think. That's some old-fashioned thinking. And sure, even if some of these things hold a little bit of truth to them, it shouldn't dictate the way that you think. They don't get to decide what's true and what's not. You do. You're very much free in your thinking. Don't let their attacks on your train of thought dictate the way you move going forward. Don't let them shake your foundations. You're allowed to have non-negotiables. You're allowed to have do's and don'ts. You're allowed to have all of these things because you are your own person. And I just want you to know that you're allowed to walk away from these people who don't align with your non-negotiables, and that will not be insecurity. Don't allow them to trick you out of your position. You're not insecure for doing that. You just have a great sense of discernment. The worst thing that you can do to yourself is apologize to people who intentionally misunderstand you. You can't apologize for your standards just because people don't like them. If you continue to lower your standards, eventually you'll end up in a place where you never wanted to be. You'll be surrounded by things that you never wanted to be surrounded by. I think the easiest example that I could give, let's say you had standards for what you wanted in a woman, all of these qualities that you liked and loved, and then you end up getting a tier below that, so something that you never would have wanted. You wouldn't necessarily live a happy life. Who's going to live a happy life with a woman that they never wanted in the first place? This is just what you settled for because you were tricked out of your position. Your standards are your foundation, and they tell people what you'll accept and, more importantly, what you won't. That doesn't mean that you make your standards unreasonable or hypocritical. I think everybody's competent enough to know if their standards are reasonable. If you expect discipline from somebody, be a disciplined individual. If you expect loyalty from somebody, be a loyal individual. I'm a very firm believer that you attract what you are, so hold yourself to the same standard that you hold to other people. However, don't be gaslit into thinking that your boundaries are something demonic. I'm sure you get the focal point of this video by now, but your boundaries are nothing to be ashamed of. At the end of the day, not everyone is going to agree with your way of life, and they don't have to. They're not the ones living with your decisions. You are. So having said all of that, stop apologizing for having standards. The right people, they'll meet you there. And if they won't meet you there, they'll meet you somewhere in the middle. So, yeah. I think that's the end of my 5-minute tangent, or however long this video is going to be. So if you did enjoy this video, make sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Share it to a friend and family member who you think may need to see and hear this video. And if you guys want to join a community full of like-minded men on the path of self-development, I'll leave a link down below in the description as well as the comment section. and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Take care and God bless.